So, welcome to the latest Facebook Live, where my aim is, and for Minerva Growth, is to bring value to business owners around the globe on topics that are useful to them right now, but also in the future. So, hi, thank you very much for agreeing to take part in this live chat today. Please introduce yourself and your business.
Thank you very much for invitation.
Not a
My
problem.
name is Margaret Brewczynska from Inventive Interiors, and I am architectural interior designer.
So, what does that mean? What's an architectural interior designer? Because a lot of people will have never heard of that term before.
Yes, and there is a reason why I call myself like that. I have an architectural background. I study architecture in Poland, so I have master degree in architecture. And because I was always passionate about interior design, and I always knew that I will want to improve people's spaces, but I wanted to have a little bit more of a general knowledge and general look of architectural side as well. So now with this in mind, basically most of my projects are complete home makeovers, where I look after all the aspect of internal space, including changing the layout, improving functionality of the space, designing lighting, designing furniture, and all other aspects of internal space.
Wow, I love the term interior architect. I think it shows that it's like interior design on steroid. It's so much bigger. It's so much more powerful. And
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. But as I say, I think a lot of people they won't have known that term before, have come across it. But I think you've set the scene beautifully well there. Thank you. So how did you get started in design?
Well, when I came to the UK in 2007, I started with architectural practice because this is where I came from. So I finished my architectural study in Poland and I wanted to have an experience in architecture as well. But because I didn't feel I'm growing, I didn't feel that I'm doing a little bit more creative work, which I love. So that's why I decided that I will go on my own and I will start to set up my own business. So that's how it started.
Okay, amazing. So what impact does the business have on your clients?
Well, I think the most important thing is most of my clients, they can't visualize the space. So even though if they think they want to improve the space, even though when they want to change something, they think they know what they want, but then when they start to put things together like elements that they would like to use, they can't see them in the whole. So then I come and I basically show them on computer generated images how the space will look like once we put together all the elements and once we put the lighting, the color scheme, furniture, accessories. So then when they see the photo, when they see the image, they have obviously better understanding of how the space will look like and then whether they like it or not. And obviously 99% they love it from the first sight, which is really, really excited. And even sometimes I've got a comment that this is exactly how they imagine the space. So that's really cool.
I love that. So, how do you manage then? That sounds like a perfect client. A great win for you there is when you can develop the whole scope for them, the whole spec from brickwork all the way upwards. So, what happens? Do you ever work with clients who have bad taste?
Yes.
And how do you tackle that?
Yes, and I think that it's actually good that when people, when they actually, when they are not afraid to ask for professional advice, because obviously you might think that, oh, it's easy, I will put together this kind of furniture and it will work. But sometimes it doesn't. And whatever you think will look good in, for example, a show home or showroom will not necessarily work in your space because obviously every single space is different and every single space has different natural lighting or doesn't have a natural lighting, has different shape, and the same element that will look good in showroom or even if you're in your neighbor's house not necessarily will look good in your house. So it's actually good to have someone who will guide you, because sometimes I've got clients and they not necessarily need the whole design or whole house design, but they need more my advice on whether this wallpaper will go good with this sofa, or they have their own furniture and they don't want obviously to change or get rid of everything, and they would like to improve the space by adding proper elements.
I love that. That's a great answer. It makes a lot of sense with me, you know, and everyone's poor ideas, bad taste. I think it's very, very personal, isn't it? Everyone's very, very different, has got very, very different opinions and tastes and, you know, budgets as well. So having someone like yourself, I can see the real value for that. So is it just full houses that you do, or do you do smaller scale projects as well?
I absolutely work from one room, one space design up to entire houses. And I'm more than happy to help people with one room redesign or one room consultation. So sometimes you may have, again, few ideas in mind which you want to confirm with someone who knows what he's doing. Or you might have, as I mentioned, a few furniture that you want to reuse, but you don't know what other elements you want to put together. So that's I think that's really, really important. And especially if you have empty space, it's really important to start from first step, which is planning, which is putting together your wish list, what you would like to have it, what are your how are you going to use this space, because again it all depends on your preferences and obviously what you want to achieve within the space.
Cool, like that. And I would imagine that people want to start, if they don't know, you've never worked with you previously, then maybe starting at a room and seeing how it works, and then they can expand it. Because I'm sure once you've done one
Yes.
room, blown them away, they want the whole house done pretty quickly on the back end of that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm absolutely open to start from first room, and as you mentioned, show them what we can potentially do. And the most important, what people sometimes miss is when you design the space, you need to think about flow. It's like, you know, the worst thing you can do is obviously create every single room in different style, different taste, and then obviously you walk through the house and you feel like in totally different scenario in every single room. So it's extremely important to have a general vision of your house, of your room, of your project, and then start to put those things through the space so that you can create this nice flow.
Part of the reason I love doing these interviews and these weekly sessions is I learn so much more about the world than I already know now. You know, I'm not a designer in the slightest, but just hearing the way you're speaking about it now makes me realize that everyone needs to be working for their own interior designer, their own architect themselves. It's crazy. Okay, so next question, what drives and motivates you?
I think the most important thing for me is the happy client at the end, and I would say even tears in their eyes where they walk into the room and they can't believe how the space changed. Then obviously even I'm really excited, and I always have tears in my eye as well. And for me it's really fulfilling that obviously I could change and improve someone's life and help them obviously to achieve maximum potential of the space they have. Because really even with small rooms you can make a lot of tweaks, you can add mirrors, you can use proper materials, textures and materials to really improve the space, even very small space. So don't be afraid to even changing small rooms, because really you can achieve a lot, and especially for your mental health.
I love that. I love the fact that the kind of work you're doing is impacting on people's lives. It brings them to tears. It makes them so happy and turns their life around. That's really cool, which is partly, so the title of this talk was around how interior design can seriously improve your life. And I think you've just explained that absolutely perfectly. You've nailed it there and then just on that answer there.
Yes, yes, and it absolutely can, because obviously whatever we surround ourselves with has huge impact of how we feel. And then obviously we may not have huge budget to improving the interiors. You may not have budget for, like, buying all the new furniture, but it's still a big potential within a space you already have. And obviously my first tip would be just declutter whatever you can around yourself, because decluttering is first step with getting rid of all the elements that basically disturb you, and they are on your way, you don't like them, or you put them from one corner to another. Just get rid of it and free the space. It will also help to have a better energy in the space. And then obviously if you are more interested in Feng Shui, you will know that obviously the better flow the space has, the better energy you get, and then obviously you just feel better. So it's extremely important to have the space designed properly, have the right elements around you, and the same as the right colors, the right textures, and the right materials.
So my next question was going to be any quick tips that you can give. So you've just dropped a massive one there around decluttering. So any other quick tips that you can give people who are tuning in and listening to this, whether it's live or over the next few weeks?
Yes, absolutely. The next would be plan, because obviously planning is the first step for everything and any change in your life. And without planning, you obviously can end up with not something that you wanted. So obviously you need to plan the space. You need to start with space planning. If you can't draw it on piece of paper, you can always even use tape measure and place it on your floor just to see how the space will look. And definitely have your tape measure with you when you go to the shop. Check the size for your room before you go to the shop, because obviously you need to make sure that whatever you want to buy, you will be able to fit in your home. And mind you, very often people go to shop and they just buy because they like it. And I had a client and she sent his husband to the shop before Christmas because they wanted to have a bigger dining table. And then obviously he bought beautiful dining table. And when they deliver it, unfortunately, there was just the table in the room because there was no room around to move. Because obviously in the showroom, the table looked beautifully, but obviously the showroom obviously has different space. So it's extremely important to plan. And then the third tip is have again the vision for whole, if not whole house, at least for whole room. So don't go for little elements and then where should I put it? No, think about what do you want to achieve, how would you like the space to work, and then basically think what kind of elements you need. If you obviously, because we all have some things that we want to keep in terms of photos or other stuff that we inherited, yes, you can still have it, but think about putting them together and group them so that obviously it's not everywhere something. It's, for example, nice collage with all your photos or something on one wall, and don't try to put all walls with something, because obviously by doing this you just overpower the room and it's so many things going on. Make one focal point, one statement, and then obviously the rest can be calmer.
Wow, I love that. There's so much knowledge and value you just dropped there. I mean, that's phenomenal. It's more you've just dropped in about 2 minutes. I've never thought about it in my whole life so far. So amazing. I also love the similarities to everything else in life. So as a business coach or a sales and marketing strategist in my day job, I talk about plan, plan, plan. You know, don't just do things off a whim. You're making sure you've got a long-term plan or a vision for the business. And it's no different for you, what you're talking about as an interior architect. I like that. Amazing. You touched on mental health. So obviously within COVID-19, there's been lots of issues. You know, people have been locked down for weeks and weeks at a time, which we've never experienced before. Have you seen how does your work impact on people's mental health positively?
Well, during this lockdown, obviously, I just feel that most people were really afraid of doing any steps forward. So they kind of froze for a while because they weren't sure what to expect, how long it's gonna take, what they should do, what they can't do. But I do feel that by staying at home, they looked around, they felt that there is maybe something not right within the space. And now it's like, you know, they are waking up and they obviously want to improve it. They know now what works and what doesn't. And if obviously they know how to correct it or how to change it themselves, then excellent. But if you don't, and if you still feel that there is something wrong with the space, but you are not really sure what and how to change it, just get the professional advice, because obviously looking at the space from different angle, and especially from outside, someone, or for example myself, I can just throw you some different ideas that you haven't even thought about, which is, I think, a really good way of obviously working with designer.
I love that. So talk about COVID then. So how do you see the marketplace right now, and also what do you see happening in the next for the rest of this year, should we say 2020? You know, COVID, I would imagine, has affected the whole housing market from what I've seen already. So where do you see the market starting to pick up now? What do you think will happen for the rest of the year?
I think that it will pick up very quickly. Obviously, there will be some restrictions in terms of going to the shop, checking elements. So in this case, in particular, it would be good to have some, like, you know, some designer or professional on board who can go to the shop, who can make a decision for you, and then obviously who can, like, you know, make a decision much quicker, saving you obviously time and money. And yeah, so I think that it will pick up very quickly. And especially that people were sitting in the spaces for so long, they will want definitely to change something and to improve.
Perfect. So what's next for the business?
Next for the business is definitely growth. That's why we are working with Richard.
Okay.
So we definitely want to grow. I want to open a interior design studio to gather more talented people who I can take on board, and we can all together create those beautiful spaces and improve people's life.
Love it. Okay. So how can anyone get any further information about you or the business?
The best is basically drop me an email. It's contact@inventive-interiors.co.uk, and you can send me your questions, you can send me plans, you can send me photos, and obviously the things you struggle with, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, I'll also drop your details into the Facebook Live, and I'll put it on the end of this as well, so people have got that, because I think you would have sparked people's interest and curiosity about what you can do and how you can impact on their lives as well. So I'm sure people will start reaching out to you and asking you some questions, which is perfect. That's been really, really insightful. Thank you so much for your time today. You've taught me and educated me so much around interior architecture and what I should be doing as well. So I'm sure you will have great impact on everyone else. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. And it's so many other things that we could talk about. So I'm sure we will be able to talk in the future.
Lovely. Thank you very much.